All right, rapid fire. I mean rapid fire. The Astros and the Yankees today up in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. Luis Gil and the Yanks a slight home favorite, minus 118 against the Astros, who put on the mound Justin Verlander. Houston is 10 games below 500, going up against one of the best in the American League. Can they start to turn things around this week in the Bronx?
Two decent lineups here that are going to be out and also in a ballpark that is susceptible to home runs. 68, 69 degrees at first pitch, light wind blowing out to left field. So it's not going to make that big of a difference. But if we're taking a look at runs, maybe a little bit tougher to come by here, Ben. 8 is the total listed. You take a look at Verlander, not very many starts on the season this year. 69 total batters he's faced. ISO of 164, which is very good for a pitcher. Weighted on base percentage of 299. However, against right-handed pitching this year, he got some pretty good power in that lineup for the Yankees. If we take a look at 2 through 6, that's Soto, Judge, Verdugo, Stanton, and Rizzo. 303, 176, 216, 241, and 269 are the respective ISO power numbers. So you're going to have to play a little bit with those numbers to see how they match up. But Luis Gil has been really good, Ben. 130 batters faced this year, a 103 ISO and a 256 weighted on base percentage. So as much as I don't want this to happen, it looks like it's probably going to be tough to get 9 runs to cash this ticket. I'll go under in the Bronx this game. Pretty good pitching matchup out there today.
The Braves swept over the weekend in that marquee matchup in the National League against the Dodgers. A day off, return home, try to bounce back in Atlanta. Will the Braves do that today against Cutter Crawford and the Red Sox?
They need to do something, but that lineup that has been so good throughout the past couple years doesn't really show up on paper right now against right-handed pitching. You take a look at the lineup, Austin Riley, 171 ISO power number. That's average. Marcell Ozuna, 224. They're the 2 highest guys on that roster against right-handed pitching over the past 30 days, which means 7 of those batters certainly not performing, at least in the power department. That could be an advantage. Now, Cutter Crawford, not a great pitcher, but having said that, he's been really good this year. 165 in the amount of batters that he's faced this year. And 060 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 242. That's impressive. Now, Ronaldo Lopez, a guy that's really going around Major League Baseball, known for giving up home runs. He ain't giving up too many home runs this year, Ben. 115 batters he's faced, an ISO power number combined of a 105. So you take a look at one of those ballparks that tends to heat up at this time of year, and it's 81 degrees tonight at first pitch Atlanta. It probably still streams to an under tonight in this environment. So go figure. Back-to-back games with 2 good lineups here that we're looking for unders, Ben.
Yeah, it would be the case in that start. Cutter Crawford right now, a 1.56 ERA, second best in the bigs. Yeah. That's because Shota Imanaga hasn't hit the minimum inning pitched at this moment to be qualified for that leaderboard. Less than 35 for Imanaga, but his ERA, that's a .78. He is 5-0 in the 6 starts he has made for the Cubs. They have won all 6 games. Greater than $1.50 favorite today in Wrigley. Lost the opening game of this series yesterday despite a great pitching performance from Justin Steele. Can Chicago bounce back inside the friendly confines?
I do think they will, and rightfully so. They should be the favorite. The better pitcher on the mound today, certainly from a Cubs perspective. Imanaga has been nothing short of spectacular. ISO power number through 132 batters this year, Ben, 062. Weighted on base percentage, 193. Nobody's getting on base. And even though I love the look of that San Diego Padres lineup tonight, it certainly is not one of that you're going to love going against this pitcher. But Randy Vasquez on the opposite side, a right-handed pitcher. Last year, Ben, 80 batters he faced from the left-hand side, 221 ISO, 322 weighted on base percentage, right around average with an elevated ISO number. This year, he's only faced 9 left-handed batters, but a 714 ISO and an 870 weighted on base percentage. Maybe there's a little bit of a correlation struggling last year with lefties, and maybe that continues this year. So for my money, if I'm looking for an under in this game, because quite frankly, I don't know how many runs that we're going to get from San Diego, even though we do have winds blowing out in Wrigley at 8 miles an hour to center field, something over the past couple of days we're blowing in. But I would look at Mike Tauchman in this lineup, Michael Busch, and maybe a shot there with the youngster Pete Crow Armstrong in the 8 hole. I do think the Cubs are the better team today, but from a percentage of where I want to bet, probably more Tauchman and more Busch here to get an RBI going up against Vasquez, the right-handed pitcher.
Speaking of bounce backs, Vinnie P, we're looking at you, Vinnie Pasquantino, for the Royals today. KC did win yesterday, though. A 3-2 victory over Milwaukee. KC booked as a -130 home money line favorite today against the Brewers.
75 degrees, wind blowing out today in Kansas City. That should help you. And I like the way the lineup profiles here for the Kansas City Royals against right-handed pitching this season. And also, if we're focusing on Colin Ray last year, who really struggled with left-handed batters, this year he's been about average, a 195 ISO and a weighted on-base percentage of 335. So just to get this short here, Vinnie P., Michael Massey should be on your card tonight for legitimate chances for RBI. Run it back, people. It was 1-for-1 last night. Maybe a 2-0 night tonight for those two guys.
Vinnie P, 2+ total bases, -110.